Children watched from classroom windows. The ravens of Pennypack were playing follow the leader around the schoolyard. They turned at right angles, an inexplicable box-step loop. The one in front doubled back along her own path, scolding the birds behind her as she passed them. The last raven in line was a male with one eye. Among other things, the goose was waiting to hear an interesting story at the bar. He hadn't been human for long, and had hazy recollections of his life before that. Sky, open water, never feeling lost or alone. The witch had scrounged for him a puffy, warm vest. This was a grubby cream color, with cowboy-looking corduroy shoulders. The smell of the vest made the goose sad. Gray Squirrel had wandered further from the nest he was sharing than he had known. He found himself above the steep face of the gorge that rose above Pennypack Creek. The line of fences extended along the edge of the wood. Gray Squirrel was running along the top of this line of fence when the cat hit him. The cat hit so hard and unexpectedly that his first thought was in the shape of a hawk. The two fell from the fence, hitting the ground together. Before Gray Squirrel could leap clear, the big tabby was on him again instantly. He flinched back quickly. Her claw had met the point of the witch's scissors in Gray Squirrel's paw. She drew back the bleeding paw. The cat set her feet and arched her back. Gray Squirrel leapt straight up in the air, coming down point first, just to one side of the house cat's spine. The striped hunter let out a shimmering, penetrating sound in the cold air and dying light. Gray Squirrel leapt an easy 2 feet straight up, pulling the blade free as he did. On his descent, the point found the cat's flank just as the cat decided to run back towards the fence, shaking off the squirrel. The bleeding tabby leapt the fence, seeking her own yard. Gray Squirrel assessed his condition after the short encounter. The initial attack had given the cat a chance to get sharp claws into the squirrel's shoulder and side, which were matted with blood still flowing, putting a coppery seasoning in the air. As he crossed the frozen, snow-covered creek, the light imprint of the wings of an owl could be seen. Fine lines of feathers spread around the deeper imprint of an interrupted trail of tiny footprints. Fresh, a recent death, evidence already vanishing from the powdery surface. The day was fading and a cold wind was beginning to blow through the gorge. In a crowd at the bar 3 deep, the goose felt isolated. A heavy, wet smell held the layer of thick blue and white cigarette smoke in place, like the mother floating in vinegar. While he tried not to spill his beer on anyone, a fat man with curly hair framing a red face beneath a dark blue knit cap shouted his story at the goose. "Cold? This isn't cold. A few years ago I was camping out on New Year's Eve. My buddy and his wife, me and my girlfriend. Except that my girlfriend breaks up with me by phone that morning to get out of the freezing cold winter camping experience. It was coming anyway, but this was her timing. So I'm a chocolate mess, crying, freaking out just to hear her hang up on me." The man was getting excited, louder, just recalling the day. "I'm going, though. Nothing else to do, right? We pile our packs in my boss's van and get out on the road. It's about 2 hours north of here, Lackawanna State Forest I'm talking about. Not a lot of snow on the ground, the wind just scouring it away. Below freezing, below zero, cold, cold, cold. We start out hiking on game trails, walking past the black powder hunters. Those guys never get far from the road. They love their pickup trucks. Nice thermos of hot coffee. Anyway, a few hours go by. We can hear the black powder guns going off behind us. Eventually, we make camp at the bend in the Susquehanna River. The wind is blowing out across the ice over our campsite, but it's flat. There's a fire ring, you know? We put up our tents, make a fire, cook dinner, and my buddy and his wife disappear into their tent. I'm toasting my front, freezing my back, turning around, trying to keep warm. Finally, I go in my tent, what they call a 3-season 2-man tent. I have a heavy-duty sleeping bag, hollow fill, qualo fill, something better than that goose down crap you're wearing. I get in and it's doing nothing. The wind is sucking all the warmth right out of that tent. If I fall asleep, I don't know what's going to happen. I have this little foam pad between me and the ground. Everything is just cold, 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 freezing my ass off. I start to just flip out. I'm shouting no over and over. My friend yells from his tent. He's like, "What's wrong?" And I tell him I'm so cold I can't even think what to do. So real slow he coaches me. "You need to come out of the tent and build up the fire." I spent the rest of the night gathering wood and feeding that son of a bitch. Coldest and most miserable I've ever been. He stopped, leaned towards the goose and said with emphasis, "That spring, opening day of trout season, I met my wife while I was fishing up in Pennypack. My life has been great ever since."